Hi, I'm Lindsay Williams, your podcast host, and welcome to Busy Mum's Fitness Corner, Manifesting Through Motherhood, where we dive deep into the empowering journey of balancing motherhood and personal wellness. As modern day mums, we can possess an incredible ability to manifest your dreams while nurturing your family's well-being. Join me as we explore the transformative power of mindset, goal setting and self-care, equipping you with practical strategies to create the life you envision. And who said manifesting has to be hard? Welcome back to the podcast. It's your host, Lindsay. So what a crazy week it's been publishing my book, and I've had such an amazing response. It's even over in Canada. So it's just nice seeing everybody buying the book and supporting me on the podcast. And yeah, it just feels surreal. I've had a strange and very emotional week. I'm not sure what's going on. This Lionsgate, there's just energy's been crazy this week. I've had a like an up and down of emotions. I feel like it's a relief I've done my book, and you don't expect what emotions you feel after doing a book, because I've just worked my way up to doing it for so long that you have all these expectations, and you set yourself up to feelings around publishing a book and what it entails, but nobody really prepares you when you do hit a milestone and hit a goal, because it's done now, it's out there, and I think I'm just going to enjoy promoting the book, loving seeing everybody reading it, and it's quite funny to think that I've got a book there now, and what are people thinking about it? Are people enjoying the book? Like, I've talked a bit about myself, so there's personal bits in the book, which is, it's something that sort of you're opening yourself up. It's not just doing a journal or a planner. It's an actual book talking about me and where it all began and all the personal things around it, and how I work through motherhood, manifesting and goal setting and time blocking and outsourcing and up leveling and my growth mindset. And that's what it's all about, manifesting through motherhood. Is I want to manifest amazing things in my life and manifest things for my family, and we all want amazing things in our life, and we all deserve amazing things, because we all work hard, and there's so many challenges as parents now out there with money, and I don't remember challenges like they are now back when I was younger, but I feel with social media and everything that's on the news at the minute, and there's just so many negativity more than positivity, so it's equally important to just keep manifesting and making sure our vibe's high, because if we don't have our vibe high, then we're not going to manifest, and nothing's going to come, to what we want it to be. So in the book, I talked about nurturing your inner child, and I just briefly touched upon this because I think sometimes we forget our inner child. We need to embrace it, the joy of it, and the healing of our inner child. And in the hustle and bustle of adult life, it is easy to lose touch with the carefree and imaginative spirit of our inner child. But the concept of the inner child holds profound significance for our emotional well-being and our personal growth. So we're going to look at the importance of connecting with your inner child and understanding its influence on your present self, and exploring ways to nurture and heal the essential aspects of you, who you are. Because we look at I feel like when I think about my younger person and who my inner child is, we always take ourselves back to a time when we remember our most memories seem more apparent. I think that's where we can take ourselves, transport ourselves back to our younger years. It doesn't matter how old you are, but we always find a time where I remember being probably about 10, 11 with my mum, and you remember certain things around that time and the really exciting, fun things, what I used to do as a young child. Our inner child represents the authentic, innocent and unblemished parts of ourselves that carries memories, emotions and experiences from our early years. And this metaphorical inner child influences our thoughts, behaviours and emotional responses. It's often subconsciously. So it's the source of our creativity, spontaneity and capacity for joy. I remember my inner child I was probably about 10, 11, and I used to absolutely love handstands, and everybody used to say, oh, you're going to be a gymnastic, and I used to literally walk on my hands and go backwards and flip myself over, and I taught myself to walk up and down my street on my hands, and people that know me from my area where I live we used to knock on my door and say, Lindsay, will you walk up your path and up your street? And I literally used to come off my path, I'd jump off my path onto the pavement, and I remember walking, and they'd be like, and because everyone was watching me, I loved that inner child, and I miss that person so much. I used to love chucking myself upside down, and I remember signing up to gymnastics, but there was such like a 10-year waiting list. I still feel like I'm waiting to get on that. I'm 41 now, I'm too late, but I feel like I could have made a really good gymnast because I was so good at creativity, and people always used to say, you're going to be a hairdresser when you're older, because I was always plaiting dolls' hair, putting makeup on. So I was either doing cartwheels and handstands and backflips, or I was doing hair, messing around, putting rollers in my nan's hair. I loved all that creative. So I was quite a creative child. And it's funny because like, I wish I could tell myself now what would be my future and what I could achieve. But we don't have limit. When we're younger, we don't really know what the future holds. And since like becoming an adult, I think about if I knew now what I knew back then, I could like write everything down for the future, but I wouldn't be able to evolve quicker because we didn't have social media, we didn't have technology, nobody talked about manifesting and entrepreneurship and podcasting. There was none of that. It was just you go to work and that's it. You pick a profession, you go to work. And then your inner child kind of gets put to bed. I also used to do dancing, Latin American dancing, but I did that for a couple of years, did competitions. So I was into movement. But then I started getting a Saturday job, and I ended up like, I don't know when the last time I stopped doing handstands. I started doing karate, so I was always into karate, doing splits. So I did that they was probably my amazing times till my teens to 20s when I did karate. Like I absolutely loved it, and if I could go back to a time, would be then and continue doing that, because I think it was such a carefree time, and I love that inner child. I still felt like probably about like a 17-year-old back then. So we do look at old versions of ourselves, and with quite fond memories, aren't they? Because we haven't got our future memories yet. We've only got our past memories, and sometimes we can hold on to them for so long. It's really hard. It's like a sense of bereavement in a way, because we're like, I want that person back. And especially if you've got disabilities, or you struggle with pain management, and it's so frustrating that you can't do the things that you used to do, because we all know at one time we was children, we jumped off like sheds or whatever, and we used to run up and down and up the street and do daft things, because that's our creativity, that's our playfulness. It's what we knew. We didn't have devices then, and we only had probably like a black and white TV. We didn't even have colour TVs for quite a while. We just went and we came home from school and we played out, and that was it for many, many years for most of us, if you was born, my age or before. So over time, life's challenges, societal expectations and past traumas can lead to neglect in our inner child. So ignoring this vital aspect of ourselves, it can result in emotional blockages, self-limiting beliefs and difficulties in forming healthy relationships. So unaddressed emotional wounds from childhood can manifest as insecurities, fears and emotional triggers in our adult life. So how are we going to reconnect with our inner child? So we need to first look at self-reflection, spend some time reflecting on your childhood memories, both positive and challenging. Consider how these experiences have shaped your beliefs and behaviours. Creative expression. Engage in creative activities that evoke a sense of playfulness, such as drawing, painting, dancing or writing. So let go of judgments and expectations, allowing your inner child to express feeling. That's why a lot of people like doing colouring now, because we all say, I used to love colouring as a child, and I love colouring. I coloured all the time. Them little like felt boards, and you have to stay within the line. I had loads of those. Honestly, colouring books were the thing, and they were really cheap back then. They were probably like 10p. But they're still quite cheap now. But it's good that we can look back at old things, and why should we become adults all of a sudden? Why can we not be playful? Because we are expected to become adults pretty soon. It's a culture shock. We leave school at 16 and you're like, right, the fun's gone by, you're going to college. I had a shock when I went to college because there were no teachers telling me what to do. I had to do everything for myself. And because you've gone from being in high school to being told what to do, to be spoken to the way you get spoken to being in a college environment, to have tutors that you maybe call on the first name. And it's so different. You have to grow up really quick and you have to become more professional. So I went straight into education. I didn't have a breather. I just went straight and did my hair and beauty qualifications, but I still had creativity around that. But we do, as we get older, we kind of, life gets in the way and we have children and they become our creative flow. And I see my son just playing crazy all the time. Even though he loves to be on his phone and his devices, he spends more time playing, I would say, with his cuddly teddies. And this is probably down to having his learning development delay. But I love him playing and I like listening to him at night, talking to his teddies, doing a bit of role play because I think that's really important too. We also need to practice mindfulness to tune into our present emotions and sensations. Just feel yourself. Guided meditations focus on inner child healing can facilitate a deeper connection. So I've done some of this before. I did it in lockdown. I can't remember if it was a networking session and we had a lady on who did an inner child work and we had to like look in a mirror and who was our inner child, and I could just see me at like 16. It was really me with my fringe and my curly hair, and I was talking to myself and it was really strange. And what would I tell myself then? And it's funny, like it really freaked me out. It was just like kind of like it was guided meditation. We closed our eyes, there was music on, and then we took ourselves back. And this is really, you can do this at home if you feel comfortable doing this, lying in bed, have some like really nice Zen music and just take yourself somewhere special, maybe on a beach, and just take yourself to a person that you remember that you was your happiest at. Always good to revisit childhood activities so we can rekindle the joy of childhood activities, you know, like you once loved. Whether it's even starting riding a bike again, flying a kite, or, you know, playing with building blocks. There's just anything that you can do. Just get off your phone, get off your laptops, just start playing, doing things. Because we feel like as we get older, it's obvious we're not stimulated by certain things as we get older, but it's nice that we can revisit things. And my husband loves it. Like my son's starting to like things he liked as a boy. And it's funny because he'll say, oh, I love that, and you know, he'll play little games with him. So it's just nice that he can revisit, because he talks about his childhood a lot and what games he used to have. And my husband, I catch him sometimes like watching old cartoons, like you remember He-Man and all them, and you know, the raccoons. There was like all the little childhood cartoons that are so different now, like when you look at the graphics. But it's nice. He's like, oh, remember this, like the Care Bears. And I'm like, yeah. And we were talking about like Saturday morning, and he said, like, even though he's like 10 years older than him, but he still has the childhood memories as me. He said he used to get up early in the morning. His mum and dad was in bed. He'd get up at 6 o'clock. He'd make himself breakfast, and he knew that, you know, like cartoons now can get pre-recorded, but he said that he used to sit there at 6 o'clock and he knew there'd be like 4 or 5 things on, takes you up to 10 o'clock. And I said, I remember doing that. I remember just sitting there, and my mum used to get up, but I was like, I'm watching the TV, and she'd make me toast and tea, and I'd sit there. And so I love their memories. Because I always remember they're so vivid, their memories, like the music and the feelings around them. And I'd sit there in my little nightie, and then I'd go and get ready and play out with my friends, or I'd go get traipsed around on a Saturday shopping with my mum, and she'd be talking to everybody in Preston like she knew everybody, like I do now. So it's funny, like, revisit old things that you used to love, because they're gone before you know it. So it's good to revisit. You don't have to tell people, or you can tell people. Do fun things. We've all got inner children and inner creativities that, you know, they need pulling out of us sometimes. We need to cultivate a compassionate and encouraging inner dialogue. So offer the same support to yourself that you would to a child. So it's the positive self-talk that we speak to ourselves a certain way, but we never speak to our children like that. I remember my mum speaking to me positively all the time. It might not have happened to you, but we need to that positive self-talk needs to continue as we get older, because we wouldn't speak negative to ourselves as a child. We didn't care about what people thought about our looks, our weight, or anything. It was only when we become an adult we notice these indifferences and at how cruel the world can be. I'd love to go back to then. I look at my son sometimes and think, you just don't know how bad the world is. I wish I could, you know, be you again. I'm that lovely, you know, vulnerable feeling about you, that gullible side, and I want him to keep that. And it's just a nice feeling. If we can keep that with our children or our grandchildren for as long as we can, then, you know, that would be amazing. So emotional healing, so seek therapy or counselling to address past traumas and emotional wounds. So inner child therapy techniques can heal and integrate these experiences. So I'm not qualified to teach this, but I do recommend, and I know a lot of coaches that do teach inner child work and past regression therapy, and it does work. I have seen so many benefits of people that have had this to really work on yourselves. So there's lots of, if there is past traumas that need working on, it's so good to like invest in somebody or somebody that's going through the same thing as you, that could be stopping you doing things later on in life. So nature connection, spend time in nature, allowing its beauty and simplicity to ignite your sense of wonder and awe. When I'm out in nature, I always remember when I was younger, we used to always go to the woods or to the park, and it's just nice. We remember those feelings. Every time we go somewhere, we reignite an old memory. It's like that cartoon film Inside Out. My son loves it, and there's a memory somewhere wherever we go. Like, everything's connected to a memory, and even though we've not maybe thought about it for 20 years, it's still their memories are always in front of us. And they're funny because I can forget people's names, but I'll never forget certain memories. They'll just be like, yeah, I remember that. Remember when we went there? Do you remember when we did this? So we're always, that's always at top front of our minds. So the benefits of inner child healing is emotional freedom. Healing your inner child can lead to emotional release, allowing you to process and let go of pent-up emotions. Increase creativity. Embrace your inner child nurtures your creative spirit, leading to enhanced problem-solving skills and innovative thinking. Enhanced relationships. Healing past wounds can improve your ability to connect with others authentically and cultivate healthier relationships. It brings greater joy and playfulness. So reconnecting with your inner child brings more joy, laughter and spontaneity into your life. So nurturing and healing your inner child is a transformative journey that empowers you to live authentically and wholeheartedly. By acknowledging and tending to this vital aspect of your being, you embark on a path of self-discovery, emotional healing, and personal growth. Embrace the magic of your inner child, and you'll find that its boundless joy and resilience have the power to positively influence every facet of your life. And this is a big thing around personal development. If we want to grow, we need a growth mindset, but we also need to work on inner child and our traumas that are suppressed, because if we don't, they always resurface. And as adults, we can kind of deal with them a lot better than when we're younger. We have better strategies. This is why self-development is so good, because if we don't have, it's like years ago when you split up with your first partner and you don't have the tools to cope with that, and you're upset, you're crying, and it's traumatizing. But as we get older, we can, and it's happened a few times, we kind of tend to, we can cope with it better. We understand that it's not the end of the world. We have to get our big pants on, and we have to carry on, and we have to nurture ourselves, and we know that we have to do a little bit of self-care. We have to love ourselves again. We might have to go and start exercising, seeing friends. We all know this now. We know that when traumas happen in our life, that, right, what do we have to do? We have to write things down, and maybe we'll see a therapist. We have to go and exercise. We have to go out with the girls, go and have some, drinkies, and just things that we put in place. Go and play some music. I go to the gym. Like, I've done this all my life. I've had really good coping mechanisms. I think being older you do, because you think, well, actually, no, I'm worth more. Like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not putting up with that. And that's me. My mum always says, you're quite strong, you aren't you? Like, you're stronger than I was at your age. And I'm like, yeah, but you've taught me, like, what you've been through. It's had a knock-on effect with me. And now I know what I want, and I know what I don't want from people, especially like relationships. So I know what I need, I know what I deserve, and I know what's not right for me. We all need a positive relationship in our life, especially if we've got children. We need to be good role models, good parents. Everything we do it rubs off on our children. So we need to deal with things in an adult way. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to conclude there, because I don't want to get on too deep with that subject. So yeah, so that's me. So I just wanted to cover a little bit of what I've talked about in the book. But I definitely recommend, if you are wanting to work on your inner child, having a lot more online and buy some books. I definitely recommend some really good self-development books around it, because it's so good to work on ourselves. I've read so many self-development books. I've learned so much about myself, and you get them light bulb moments, then they're like just pinging your head and you're like, oh, I never thought of that. It's like we open parts of our brain that were closed. The information I know now, I did not know 5 years ago, 10 years ago. If I had the information now at school, I would be a different person. But that comes with maturity and age. Our brains are growing all the time. We are evolving. We're making neural pathways. We are making new we make thousands of memories a day. And it's called wisdom. It's growth. We learn as we get older. We become more skeptical. It's like our grandparents. They moan a lot, and I think, God, like, you know, that's not be me one day, because we've been through it. We've seen it. It's second nature now. So yeah. So if you haven't bought a book, I would appreciate if you would have a little read of my book, because I think you'll enjoy it if you love personal development, manifesting, and it's got some activities for you to do in there. And I've got some other books. I've got a new journal coming out, a new manifesting journal, so that's actually gone live just today. So I've had that. I've kind of been like working on that. It was all ready. I just waited till I published this, and then I just pressed publish, and it's done now. Because I wanted a new manifesting book at the side of my bed at night, so I just thought I'll just create a new one, because I'm used to making them now, so I quite enjoy them, and it just kind of just took me away for a little while. So I'll pop that in my link tree so you can have a nosy. And if you do buy my book, tag me in your socials and show me where my book's gone, because it was in Canada yesterday, so it's just nice to see it going far. Well, thank you so much, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now. Did you know you can join and support the show by becoming a Patreon with extra podcast audio, self-development and health support? Don't forget to follow the show so you don't miss an episode, and if you could rate and review the show, that would be great. And thanks for listening. Oh, don't go yet. Did you know you can find me on Amazon? I have over 20 self-published books. From manifesting planners, weight loss and meal planning, gratitude and time blocking, and many more. Bye for now.